If you've listened to any of our episodes, or some of our episodes, or all of our episodes here at the NP2Cast, I am sure you've heard of Fresh Expressions. The thing is we've heard about Fresh Expressions from other people, from other churches, from other places outside of Louisiana. Well, not anymore, because here in Louisiana, we have a growing and thriving Fresh Expression in Baton Rouge that I can't wait to share with you guys. That's why I'm inviting the crew of Red Stick Together with Broadmoor United Methodist Church in Baton Rouge to share their story. In the first part of our conversation, we're going to get to know some of the people involved in Red Stick Together. We're going to find out how it got started, how it was decided to go forward, and ultimately how it works on the ground. So without any further ado, my name is Sam, that would make you you, and this is the NP2Cast, your roadmap to the Reformation. Let's go! Joining us today on the NP2 cast is the most people I've ever had at one time on the program. So I'm a little worried about how it's going to go. We're getting a little Brady Bunchish. See how far we can push this. But we got a really super interesting story I want to share with you guys, and it takes this many people to share the story. So joining us today is in no discernible order is Rich Sampson, Reverend Kennon Pickett, and the wonderful Bethany. How do you say your last name, Bethany? Hager, there we go. I just want to make sure. I'm saying it right. And they're with Broadmoor United Methodist Church in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And they're going to share a little bit about their experience with Fresh Expressions. And their particular Fresh Expression is called Red Stick Together. So first, I just want to start. We'll start with Rich. And Rich, if you just want to tell us just a postage stamp about yourself, your family, your hobbies, your favorite color, what you do at Broadmoor, all that kind of good stuff, just to let everybody know who you are.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me, and glad to tell the story about Red Stick and other things here. I'm Rich Sampson. Actually, all pretty new to Baton Rouge and Broadmoor. United Methodist. Moved here in summer of 2019 from the DC area along with my wife and son and her folks. We're a tri-generational family in one household. In my day job, I run a transit association for 8 states. So getting people to work and the doctor and wherever else they need to go, we support the transit providers that do that across 8 states, including here in Louisiana.
I would probably want to interview you just about that. That's fascinating.
Kennon knows, Bethany knows, I can go on about trains for a while.
Best train pictures ever.
I did that work up in D.C. On national level with Congress, then moved down here to run the show myself at the regional level. So that's what I do in my day job. My wife and son come to Broadmoor with us, and my son's 5.
Wow!
My wife's a doula, so she helps bring babies into the world. So yeah, we have a lot of interesting things going on in the Sampson household here. But so that's some of my background personally. But we were in D.C. up until 2019. Came down here, got connected with Broadmoor, and we're just kind of starting to settle in. And then right around Christmas time, I hear Kennon mention just before the start of the announcements that, hey, we got this new thing, Dinner Church, we're working on. I can tell you a little bit more about it. And that piqued my ears a little bit. One of the great things Broadmoor has going on, there's always something more going on.
Yes, there is.
It's pulling back the proverbial onion. There's another layer to get involved with, and it doesn't seem like they stop finding new things. So that got my interest piqued, and then I moved into helping out with the meal distribution side of Red Stick, which Kennon will tell you a little bit more about in a second. So that's kind of my background.
Awesome, man. 2 words for you. You need a reality show. That's more than 2 words. But you need a reality show. A doula, transportation,
Tri-generational household.
Tri-generational household.
And we go to church too. So.
Oh my gosh, that's it's a long title, but I think it'll work.
That's why he goes to church.
Yeah, that's right. He needs salvation. Oh, all right. Well, Kennon, share a little bit about yourself and your family and that beautiful painting your wife did in the background.
Yeah. My wife did this. This is Louisiana rain, which we've had a lot of lately.
Quite.
So she was inspired by it when we first got here 3 years ago. I'm from Dallas, Texas, and I've been at Broadmoor for 3 years now. It's hard to believe it just went like that. Mm-hmm. And but very glad I do I'm the leader of our contemporary service here, and then I'm the executive pastor, so I handle a lot of the business for the church. We are enjoying it. I have a golden retriever. I have an 8-year-old daughter, Olivia, and a 10-year-old son, Caleb, or he's about to be 10, and my wife, Rachel. And she's an artist, and we're all creative types. Every one of us like a microphone, an instrument, and a canvas. And so those are the love languages in our home.
I got to know, though, are you an Enneagram guy at all?
I am an Enneagram guy.
Okay, so what's your family? I got to hear a family full of creatives. What are the numbers?
So, I'm a 2 because I like to help everybody, and that's kind of my shtick. But my wife, she's a crazy 8, man. She is
I love the 8s. I'm an 8.
Yes. Yeah. So she's amazing. But she's one of the most genuine and kind-hearted people. No frills. What you get with her in person is what you get all the time, and so really good. My kids are super outgoing. It's just amazing. I think Louisiana has brought out the best in us. Actually, we love it here. We have fit in so well. Southern Louisiana culture has just been good to us, and so. The Broadmoor Church is, their spiritual gift, their spiritual muscle is hospitality. Mm-hmm. And so, it was just a slam dunk for us. We love it here.
Wow. Yeah, it's a great congregation, and you guys are great people. I got the chance to talk to Kennon when we were on a retreat. On a silent retreat that no one was silent for, Kennon. I'm still very upset about that.
Hey, it's been a pandemic. We hadn't seen each other in a year. Okay. How are you supposed to say silent?
Okay, fair enough. Last but not least, Bethany, tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, your favorite color. Are you a doula or a transportation, an art? What are you? What's your crazy story?
I am not any of those. I'm the executive director of a nonprofit organization called Louisiana A+ Schools. And we train educators around the state how to use the arts to teach other subjects. Oh. So imagine learning the life cycle of a butterfly through dance, for example, something like that.
Holy Moses.
Yes. My husband and I are both full-time college students at LSU as well. He's retired Navy and he's studying geology, and I'm studying organizational leadership. Oh. And I have a 14-year-old and I have an almost 12-year-old. They're both in middle school here in Baton Rouge. And I love to bake and garden and cook. And let's see, what else? My favorite color is orange.
Okay, there you go.
For a really long time. And I've been involved with the church since 2007 in many different ways, mostly through the different community outreach initiatives that they have.
Yeah. What what is it like having a loaded nuclear device in your house at all times with a 12-year-old and a 14-year-old?
Well, my 14-year-old is my daughter, so you're talking to her.
Yes.
And I'll tell you what, it's been an experience. It's an adventure. I'll just say that much.
Yes, my 13-year-old is like. I have a 26-year-old son, which we've already been through that, and a 13-year-old daughter, and it's like, I'll take my 26-year-old son. It's like, it is nuts. But anyways, she's a lovely, lovely lady. She's just, she's intense. I'm pretty sure she's an 8, Kennon, which we're trying to figure out because I'm an 8, but I'm just like, but man, it's nice to have somebody match my energy, but also too much. But anyways.
Well, listen, don't let Bethany sell herself short. When she says she cooks, no, she cooks.
Oh, capital C.
You might as well be art the way that she cooks.
So much.
I've had her sourdough bread, and bam, it's good.
So many breads and brownies over the holidays, and now I have 3 plants growing in my garden that she started from sap. So just a great person to be friends with and be doing some good work together with.
So she easily adds 10 pounds to you. Everybody she meets.
Yeah.
I didn't need any to begin with, but
if we're gonna do a food ministry, it ought to be good, right?
Yeah, it better be. Yeah. Well, speaking of that, let's start. We got a lot of ground to cover, and let me start with Kennon. So, I'm assuming you heard about FX at some point, Fresh Expressions at some point, but really, yes. How was, well, maybe this, let me think. I'm trying to think if we should talk about what Red Stick is first, or whether we should slowly progress into it. What do you think?
So let me just start with how I heard about Fresh Expressions.
Cool.
And so we were going through a process when I first got to Broadmoor. The church was going through a process of transformation, and so we were being very intentional about looking at our mission field and looking at the spiritual gifts of the church and creating a new ministry that might meet the needs of what's going on right here and right now. And so through that process, what we discovered is that the church's, like I said, spiritual muscle is hospitality, but the need in the community was food insecurity. We have an existing program on site that does, it's like a pantry style where groceries are getting. But what we learned through interviews is that people were needing prepared meals or prepared hot meals. And that's really how Fresh Expressions came to be for us, was that our senior pastor a couple of years before had gone to a Fresh Expressions event, had learned about it. He told us about it, and then it was like we all just globbed on to the idea of Fresh Expressions being a great fit for both us being able to do this ministry and the people here who are food insecure. We have, in our context, we have people who are living in their cars. We have people who are experiencing homelessness. We have seniors who have, maybe they've lost a spouse or something, and so they're single homes, and cooking is trying for them, and so forth. And so our context really needed prepared hot meals. And so we happened to, on site here, have a commercial kitchen, and so we were able to kind of put all of the pieces together and just let the Holy Spirit breathe to life this amazing new ministry. And so that's kind of how things got rolling. Yeah.
And just a minute, I want to share with everybody, y'all's context is very interesting.
Yes.
It's actually a little deceiving. Yeah. Because when you drive to Broadmoor, it's a very pretty area, very more, I don't know how to say it. It's suburban, it's suburban, but it's also it has a little age on it, so it's pretty. Bottom line, yes. It's pretty. And then we go to your campus. It's a very large campus, very nice campus, but your context around you is in your church, for let's be honest, is what most Methodist churches is white, and probably middle class, upper middle class. I'm assuming maybe even upper class. But your context around you is, and when I mean around you, I'm not talking 10 miles away. I'm talking few miles away, is extremely diverse, from Latinx to African American. There's a great deal of economic insecurity around, and financial insecurity. So it's a really interesting context that you guys have.
It really is, and Broadmoor, when it was founded 65 years ago, it was exactly what you described. This was pretty much a white neighborhood. I think that there was one on the census data that we've gathered. There was like one household that was non-white at the time that Broadmoor was actually built. But what's happened, of course, when Katrina hit and the great dispersion happened in the state, Broadmoor went basically overnight to being one of the most diverse communities in all of Baton Rouge. And so right now we have about 43% white, 43% Black, and the rest in many different other things. We have an Asian market. We have so many different, and so we're in a time in our lives right now, in our history at Broadmoor, where we're learning how to embrace that diversity and celebrate it, and how, and then also to serve our new makeup, and this is just one of the steps that we've taken in order to do just that.
Yeah.
But we had to understand it, right?
Yeah,
And so it meant going to places where that we'd never gone before.
Mm-hmm. That leads into a next question, because I know that it's been really interesting in sharing fresh expressions with Louisiana. We're just really on the tip of the iceberg of sharing it with people. And the two things I've really gotten away just talking to a few people is everybody loves it. They get it. It's I mean, let's face it, most pastors didn't get into this to, just to speak every week and have everybody listen to them. We want to help people. And of course, unfortunately, we haven't been, we've usually been more busy running a church than actually, getting the gospel out and helping people. Yeah. But I'm trying to think what to say. But it kind of gets them jacked up that, oh my gosh, this is what I got into ministry for. But on the second side of that is, yes, I need to tell my congregation who's gonna not like it, because does this mean Sunday service is gonna go, or are we gonna get people different than us here? So here's you and Donnie's great idea, and it fits. But now what happens when you start switching into talking to leadership about that, and how was that received, and what are some hiccups
Sure.
that you, or no hiccups that you guys had with it?
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, that comes with hiccups and messiness, right? I mean,
yeah.
Because it's life. And so we had people on all ends of that spectrum. Some were very, very resistant. Some were extremely, extremely excited and embracing that. But, again, this went through a process where we were discerning the Holy Spirit and what the Holy Spirit wanted to breathe alive here through this ministry. And we also were very, very committed to meeting the actual need. What that required is us getting out and finding out what that actually was. And so we canvassed hundreds of households and community leaders and HOAs, and we found out who lived here, what the actual needs were, what people were seeing, what the patterns were. We talked to people in busy places like the supermarket, and believe it or not, that's exactly why we made a conscious decision not to put this ministry at our campus. We actually put it in the Broadmoor Plaza Shopping Center on Florida Boulevard, because we wanted a place that had high foot traffic, that had a lot of exposure, so that people could see that we meant business when it came to meeting the needs of this community. And so that's how it all kind of came. But it didn't come easy. It definitely came with a lot of conversations, some of them difficult, but in the United Methodist world, we call that holy conferencing. We're used to it.
Yes, that's true. Good one. Look at that. So Kennon and Donnie get this idea. They start talking to people, and I'm assuming, Rich, you were around here somewhere. Like you even said it when you were introducing yourself. It's like, Kennon says something about fresh expressions, about dinner church, about Red Stick Together, and so what did you think when you first heard it, and what was the process of being involved in the decisions, the execution, all that kind of stuff from your point of view?
Sure. Well, initially it was just from a member of the congregation and listening to here's another new program, and as someone that was only a few months involved at the church, of the three of us on this call today, Bethany's been associated with Broadmoor the longest, so I'd love to hear her thoughts on this too. But just 4 or 5 months in at that point, I wasn't at all surprised that from what we'd gotten to know about the church that far, that there was something else they wanted to do. There's a host of resources for folks on campus, and great Sunday morning adult ministry, great children's ministry. So I didn't think it was beyond the capacity at all of the church to handle something else. Although, my perception from Kennon was they were starting small and not under promising, over delivering. Just one night a week in person. A handful of folks initially. We're talking 5-10 folks coming together with members of the congregation making the meals. And using the church facilities, of course. But so my reaction is, of course, why not? And how can I support Kennon and his team getting that started? They're only a couple months into it when the world changed. The thing that really drew me into a much more extensive role, and now is a member of the board of directors for Red Stick Together. It's a separate nonprofit entity to run that program. Is it transitioned from being an in-person dinner church format to a massive food distribution program at your car window, and that's Bethany joined on our Monday night team soon after that, and that's when it really opened my eyes to what a larger impact we could have with this program at a time when people were really uncertain what the next few months, weeks, days would look like. And being able to distribute hundreds of meals in just a couple hours with great efficiency was really what captured my interest and fit right into the church's mission of meeting people where they are. In this case, it wasn't meeting them at our church; it was meeting them at the shopping center. Meeting people where they are isn't just at our church; it's wherever they are and where they need us to be. So that's what captivated my commitment to it.
Yeah, because and maybe this is where we can start. We can talk a little bit about actually how it looks, because you got, like you said, Kennon underpromised, and he says, "Okay, one night a week, I swear, we're just gonna cook some meals. We're gonna get together in here. It's no big deal, no big deal." That's how all pastors do it. We're just like, "It's no big deal. It's
if you know Kennon, he has a little more in mind, but. He set realistic expectations.
Well, it's all pastors do that, because we gotta get them in. But so you guys started on just one night, it sounds like, and it was in the shopping center, if I remember right. How big was it? Were you guys usually starting to see, like, from when you first started till maybe when your last get-togethers?
So we started at Christmas in 2019. And those first gatherings were about 20 people, 25, and then it started growing by about 5 a week. But before the pandemic hit, we were up to about 60 people to 70 people, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
And so we were basically filling the room. It was an old DMV, the place that we took over. And what was like a God moment was that the owner of that strip center gave us the space and let us just kind of, so there were so many kind of cool God things along the way. I wish I could take credit for saying, oh yeah, my dreams were small compared to God's dreams. So, I mean, the pandemic happened. I had no idea what God had in store for us. I mean, that was a God-sized dream that I could have never imagined or saw.
Yeah, I want to get to that, because it is insane, kind of where you guys have gotten, and by the way, I want to talk to you next, Bethany, because I hear your perspective. But just maybe I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Yeah, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, because you guys actually did something before Fresh Expressions caught on to it, like the U.S. Fresh Expressions U.S. And so it was really neat to watch you guys be ahead of them while they caught on. But it's interesting how the Holy Spirit was working and everybody was responding. But anyways, Bethany, tell me about when did you start getting involved, and what did you first think about it, and what has been your experience with it so far with Red Stick?
Well, it's actually a year ago. Last Monday was my first time at.
Happy anniversary!
Thank you. Thank you.
So you came in after the change.
Yes.
Okay. The pandemic. Yeah.
So the church posted on Facebook that they had volunteer opportunities, and that's how I found out about it. I had really been struggling, like so many of us, during COVID, because volunteerism is very important to me. It grounds me. Like, I need to always have a volunteer opportunity in my life. I just need to. And even more than that, my professional career was, stalled because I work with schools and they were all closed. So I was going a little crazy. And I saw this opportunity, and I got a call right away and started that next week. And it was amazing. I didn't know anybody that was there. Rich and his wife was there, Chandler, and I had never met them before. And when I left after my first experience, I got into my car and was crying. And I don't want to get emotional, but I texted Kennon and was like, my soul is like revived.
Oh, wow.
I'm finally able to give back to the community that means so much to me.
Oh,
so
wow.
It was like a life-changing experience for me as a volunteer.
Wow, I would like to hear more about that. Where did he put you? Let's back up a minute, because I want to talk about the change you guys made. Like, dinner church is pretty easy. You make a meal, you set some nice areas up, you sit down and serve a meal, you talk to folks, you connect. I'm assuming, like, how did you structure it? Did you do a pals and wows kind of thing? You did a little Jesus story?
Yeah, 5-minute story about how great Jesus is. We had some nice ambient music because we have so many gifted people here at the campus who excel in that area. And so we had some nice music. And it was so spontaneous. I mean, it didn't have a lot of structure, but it had a lot of energy in the room. And so I couldn't believe how many people would get up from their plate and get on a microphone and just start singing. And it was awesome. Oh, yeah, it was very spontaneous. And so very, very cool to see that it didn't have to have the structure that we put into. It didn't need to be another worship service. It could just be organic. Every week was different, week to week, based on who was in attendance and in the room. And that was those early days. That's what that looked like. But you're right. I mean, it did change when the pandemic hit. We had a very big decision to make. And that was we were going to have to shut it down, clearly, on the inside, because we weren't going to be able to gather people. And so, do we push pause, or do we radically change and go with the flow? And so, luckily, through prayer and discernment, the group came together and made a decision that we're gonna meet the needs, because the need for food insecurity didn't go away; it grew. People were losing their jobs right and left. Nobody was being able to go out anymore. It was scary to go to a grocery store in those early days, and the government was still trying to figure out how best to manage the situation, and we didn't know a lot about COVID in those early days. And so I made a call to the Louisiana Conference office and talked to someone who specializes in the missions there. And they were gracious enough to say, if this is the decision that you want to make, we'll pull alongside you and help you fund it.
Really?
And so that was kind of, to us, that was kind of the affirmation we were looking for, that God was making a way. And if we were willing and we had the ability to do it, then let's convert this whole thing to a drive-through. And if we're going to meet people where they are right now, comfortably and safely, it's in their car.
Yeah.
And so we were going to have to figure out how to get these meals into cars. And so it's been incredible. We still operate in that format today, and it's just been amazing. So I would say for anybody who's doing Fresh Expressions, just to know, you don't have to follow a formula. It can be organic, and the beauty is the Spirit will lead you through the times that you have, and just be flexible, because that's how you meet people's needs, and needs change.
Yeah.
So,
well, maybe I'm curious, Rich, since you were were you on the leadership board at that time when that decision came through?
Not technically. I became part of the leadership group of Red Stick Together We formed that in late spring, I think, Kennon, is when we did that.
Okay.
So that's my official role. It is just kind of being involved in the congregation, watching that need. You can say a lot about organized religion, and I think faith is more important than religion. But when you hear about church bureaucracy getting in the way, this was the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Right? Everything, people saw the opportunity and the need to really get past a lot of hand-wringing or anything like that, both at the congregation and at the conference, to make things change quickly for this program. And all of a sudden there's 60, 80 cars lined up in this parking lot 2 weeks later.
Wow.
I think maybe even 1 week later from when we were doing in person. So again, as a newcomer to the church, though, I wasn't at all surprised. This seemed to be the way that this church did things. That may be different historically, but since I've been involved since 2019, it was, here's a moment, we can move in. And this hasn't come yet so far in our discussion, but around the same time as we started going in person, there were 2 arson fires at the church.
Yes, and that's a whole other side of things. I forgot, yeah.
For Kennon and Donnie and everybody involved at Broadmoor, the chance with Red Stick and then responding to these fires is to lean into these moments, not to, worry about our situation or feel doomed, but say, here's a chance to do something new. Do something that we can do. So that's been the most convicting thing for me personally. I'm sure Bethany feels the same way Chandler does too, is that this church turned on a dime to meet its needs and respond to these kind of really scary situations that we were dealing with about this time last year.
Well, because honestly, it's human nature. Human nature is church nature. When things start happening like that, first thing to do is let's circle the wagons, retreat. Let's get our ducks in a row, and y'all did the exact opposite of that. And so that's what I want to know. That's what I think we need to share is so how did it switch? Clearly you guys went to goes. You guys had a car line, and if I remember right, you guys actually changed the number of times that you did this over the course of a week, correct?
Yeah.
Y'all, isn't this story awesome? I've been wanting to share this story with y'all for such a long time, and now here it is. But there's so much more to the story. There's so much more to hear about how Red Stick Together is making a huge impact on the community that surrounds Broadmoor UMC, but also how it's actually dramatically impacting Broadmoor itself. And the Red Stick folks love to have visitors. So I'm going to leave some information in the description to let you know how to get a hold of the people there, but also how to come check it out and see how this beautiful expression of church is reaching so many new people in such a new and different place. Now that you know that Fresh Expressions is alive, well, and thriving here in Louisiana, come to a Vision Day where we're going to share how you could do this in your context and in your church. We're going to have 4 sessions total. They're all free, totally free. There's going to be 2 online, 2 in person. We're going to brainstorm, we're going to discover, and we're ultimately going to catalyze how fresh expressions of church can emerge in your context and in your community alongside your traditional and existing church. Also, we can go to new places to reach new people with the gospel of Jesus. Could you do me a favor? Could you show some love to the NP2Cast? Whatever platform you're on, whether it's YouTube, whether it's your favorite podcatcher app, like, share, comment, subscribe, review. All of these things help other people see and be a part of some of these conversations. And you never know. Some of these conversations, one thing that these wonderful innovators could say could spark something in them, and that they could start a fresh expression, and then they reach new people and they go to new places, and it's all because of you and because you shared it and you loved it. That's how big of a deal it is. Could you do it, please? Thank you. And you can't get away from an NP2Cast without hearing what I'm always going to say to you, because I believe everybody in the world needs to hear it. God loves you. I love you. Now go out and love the world. See ya.